Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We trust you're enjoying our live Speedvision Cup racing. Today's coverage is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. And there is a look at a BMW because it continues to lead. That is Andy Pilgrim. He qualified for the pole this morning and has led from the drop of the green, enjoying a margin right now over Randy Popes. Randy in that turbo RX-7 that will consume a lot more fuel and will require at least 2 pit stops. So if Randy and this team, or Andy and the team, can go on 1 pit stop, they certainly have the advantage this afternoon because we've not seen that first yellow. And that comes as, I think, a very pleasant surprise to all of us. It's a very clean racetrack. And as you guys up here with me indicated, the guys are using some discipline and some courtesy out there on the racetrack. And here is a new leader in the sport class. Number 28 is 8th overall, Michael Culver. Now, Michael was victorious at Sebring in his very first Speedvision Cup event. Only 3 times in the 90s. Only 3 drivers have won in their first outing, he being the 3rd. And right now, he is leading in class and is 8th overall.
I was looking at that number on the right side of the car going, that doesn't look like their original number. So looks like they put something together there for some slightly better visibility.
Guys, when we talk about stock racing, and I'm saying this is a true stock division, I mean, really, how stock are these cars?
Well, I was going to talk a little bit about the Technician of the Year award when that guy got the award. These cars are the best secret underneath. You know, when they tune them, it's amazing. From if they take a total stock one against one that races here and wins, it's amazing. There is something they do to them to make them a lot faster, but they just won't let you know what it is.
Well, the thing is that what it really is, it's lots of little things, you know? If you lower the car a ½ an inch and you know, you're really accurate with your alignment and, you know, just all these little things that really add up, you know, you end up with a car, as you say, if you were to put a stock 328 BMW out there, this car's probably 4 seconds a lap quicker than a stock 328.
Yep, they just make them handle so much better from, like you said, the alignment specs, or if they modify somehow the bump rubbers, which they can modify to make the car somehow stiffer and stuff, it makes a huge difference.
Well, of course, all these cars compete on street-legal Toyo tires. They are shaved for racing purposes. Bill Bainbridge from Toyo Tires, an interested spectator watching the competition this afternoon. I think we'll have a chance here momentarily to visit with Bill, but he's an interested spectator. And of course, oh, there is the team car to the guy that is running 2nd. He was 5th in class. Car number 71 has spun off.
Well, he was 5th he was 5th overall and on the lead lap. So that is a major disappointment. Now, I have to wonder if this will bring out a full course yellow. He is parked just down outside the chicane, so that is definitely a bit of a target zone that he's in. And they might want to move that car.
You have to wonder what the problem is, because if he just spun off, he could engage the clutch, find a lower gear, and drive away.
I don't see any big, you know, kind of spin marks through.
Maybe he just drove off
through the grass there. So, but if he drove off, it's a very peculiar place to drive off. You would think you would drive off driver's left, so that if the crew wanted to come and get to the car, you wouldn't be out on that island.
Well, here is the 92 car of Real in the pit for an early stop. Like they're going to jack up the right side and go to work on those right side tires. So take the time to refuel the car. And of course, without the yellows, the pit window tends to change just a bit.
Well, what happens is, I mean, you know, what you do is you say, okay, here's the plan. If it goes green all the way, this is where we're at. Now, if we get a yellow, this is where we're at. If we get 2 yellows, this is where we're at. So, you know, they plan on running start to finish without a yellow, but it hardly ever happens.
Well, as we were talking about all these cars running on Toyo tires, and Bill Bainbridge from Toyo here watching, and he's in the pit lane with Greg Creamer.
Thanks,
Thanks, Gary. And obviously, Bill, you guys are here for a reason. And what, specifically is that? This racing is so abusive on these tires.
Well, this is the biggest thing for us. This is a demonstration of Toyo technology. What we like to promote about our tires is uncompromised performance. We don't sacrifice anything in terms of wear or performance handling or all the attributes that are not only important on the racetrack, but important on street cars as well.
Aside from shaving it a little bit to get the tread blocks down, this is actually a tire you could buy at any Toyo tire dealer, isn't it? For your street car.
Yeah, these are all DOT street tires, so this is the ultimate product for not just on the track, but for streetable. If you want maximum handling and performance with modest mileage, the Proxys RA1 gets that job done.
Now, we just saw one of the Toyotas got a puncture, just some debris on the track. You guys immediately descended on that. You use this to learn as well, I would assume.
Absolutely. As I said, it's a demonstration of technology, and we learn a lot. All the tires get analyzed after the race is over with. We look at performance. We look at things like punctures. That no tire is bulletproof from something like that, picking up debris on the track. But we'll see how the tire reacted as it degenerated after the puncture happened.
However, if it survives 2 hours and 45 minutes of racing like this, probably a good thing to have on the family car.
Well, that's the other thing you got to look at is the 35 cars out on the track times 4 tires apiece. We only got one down. That was the result of a puncture. It's the other 100 and some tires out there that are really doing the job.
Doing the job indeed, and they do it all season long. It really is remarkable.
Well, as you take a look at the leader, once again, Andy Pilgrim enlarging the lead now up to 6.5 seconds over Randy Pope's third position. Peter Tonelli back 17.6 seconds. We'll take a break and come back to Las Vegas.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Speedvision Cup coverage here at Speedvision. And it is turning into a bit of a strategy battle. It always does. But this race, surprisingly, has gone green for a long time, and that means fuel comes into play. Right here, this big rig is what it's all about. Now, the turbos are running about 1 hour 10 to 1 hour 15 minutes. If it goes green, that's the outside of their window. The BMW can run maybe another 5 to 10 minutes longer. Without any yellows, they've got to make 2 stops, a long stop to top off, and then a splash and go somewhere. On the other hand, if we do get a yellow at some point, they might be able to stretch it, especially the BMW, with just 1 stop. They're leading. They didn't expect to be there. Things are looking pretty good right now.
So considering 1 full stop and 1 for a splash of fuel, you'll look for the driver change, obviously, on that first stop.
Yeah, I mean, especially if, say you were to decide not to do the driver change on the first stop, and then you get your yellow after that stop, and the splash at the end is going to be even that much shorter, as we see some pit work going on here on pit road, then you really backed yourself into a corner if you can't take advantage of that yellow and that much shorter stop. So you've got to do this stop. You've got to do the driver change.
Well, we're hearing now that it may play out very soon because the second place car of Randy Pope's, we have a yellow. A full course yellow is being displayed at the start-finish line. And could it be for that car we saw parked outside that chicane, outside turn 1? It's been parked there for a number of laps. So this is the break the teams have been looking for. They can all pit under yellow. There is the second place car. And there is the team car, number 71. Bob Towery and David Shepp teaming in that Mazda.
This will get things going in pit lane. This will get things going in pit lane. There's the full course yellow.
The second place car is in the pit area, down pit lane. And John Bizignano, we'll see if the driver change is made this time as he heads for you.
And Tremblay is going to do the driver's change. Pope's come out, and Tremblay is going in. But the reason for their stopping now, which is some 20 minutes early, and this is a bad strategy, especially with the turbocharged Mazda, is because of the full course yellow. The full course yellow is because of the 71 car, which is this team's other car. They have lost the clutch on the circuit. The car is sitting in a bad position, and they cannot move the car. A little bit of oil going into this particular vehicle. The driver's change is going quite smoothly. The belts are going back on. This car has been running in second place overall and in position for their class throughout the entire race from the drop of the first green flag. But right now, the stop seems like it's taking forever. The drivers have the change done, which is unusual for them to be finished before any tires and fuel is going in. These cars take a while to fuel, but right now they're going to get this car back out there. But fuel is everything to this team, and they don't want to be in the pits any longer than they have to.
Well, lengthy stop under yellow. There is the leader down through the infield section behind the pace car.
Now this is critical. The BMW did not stop. Look at how slowly this car is moving. The Mazda is going to take the lead here because the BMW is losing all this time. They should have ducked in. They should have ducked in right away as soon as they knew the yellow was out, but they didn't. They got past the pits, and maybe it was too late, but this is really going to hurt them. The Mazda guys did the right thing. They got in early.
I have to wonder, guys, I have to ask, that car sat out there for 2 or 3 laps. Why wait this long to throw the yellow? And my second question, it was the team car to the car running second. So was there some stress? Did he actually have a mechanical problem, or did they pull off the track to create a yellow?
No, I believe they did. I mean, as Biz said, the team didn't want to stop yet. They would rather keep going and burn out that first tank of fuel. And I think the other answer is that what you want to do if you're the chief steward, you want to wait to see if the car can actually get restarted and get fired, as we see our leader come down pit road.
So as you indicated, as the pit stop was going on, Greg, you're down there.
And Jeremy, you called it. This team is frustrated that they didn't get in on that lap back. They had to do a full lap under the yellow, and they lost a lot of time, even though, when you think about it, the 70 car was in the pits because now they had to do a lap of the yellow. They're going after tires right side. They are doing the driver's change. They can't afford not to do the driver's change with the yellow here. That splash and go at the end. They want to make that as quick as possible. Right side tires are on. They're just snugging up the lug nuts, and of course they are going after fuel. They need to top off here, because if they do get a long yellow, yeah, they might be able to stretch it. But they are right now. Borschler is in, Pilgrim is out, and boy, they're just still working on the fuel, getting those tires on. Looks like they're not going to worry about left side tires. And as the car sits in the pits, number 70 goes by. Popes now. Oh, actually, it's Trombley on board, I believe, is your new leader. So costly indeed here at pit lane for the number 54 BMW.
And the 54 remains in the pit area, and we watch the lead car now go into the first turn.
Now, here's the problem for the 54 car. Once everyone gets back out, the pace car will pick up the new leader, which is the 70 car. In the meantime, there will be a number of lapped cars between those two cars. So not only have these guys lost the lead, but they're probably going to end up with a number of slower cars in between the 70 car and the 54 car, and that's very, very frustrating.
And it's frustrating right now for a driver. He's strapped in, he's ready to go. He can't go until the refueling is completed, so now he's got his juices flowing. And so we'll take this break, come back, and talk to drivers that just got out of those race cars. We return to Las Vegas. Coming up live tomorrow morning at 7:30 Eastern Time, the Grand Prix of San Marino. The Formula One cars are going to be chasing the McLarens. They had the front row. David Coulthard on the pole, but the Ferraris are right behind. You can see all the action live on Speedvision tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning, the Grand Prix of San Marino. Well, Andy Pilgrim had a good ride early on. He's out of the race car and with Greg Creamer.
We're standing by, and Andy Pilgrim, helmet off, and a great helmet it is. And Andy, a great drive to start this one off. You didn't really expect the lead, Terry was saying. You were hoping to do a little drafting. You got out front, you went for it.
Well, exactly. I mean, you know, the turbos were strong. They were real strong, actually, but you can't really, you never know in a race situation. They didn't get me, and once we got to the infield, we had a really good car in the infield, and whatever they had on the straightaway, I could take care of it there. But traffic was unreal, man. Traffic helped me one time, then it hurt me another, helped me another. It was very entertaining. With Randy Pope pushing me real hard and Craig Conway behind him, you didn't have any time to relax.
Did the yellow surprise you? It looked like you stayed up perhaps one lap too long.
That was kind of a mistake. Yeah, we should have been in first. The team, I guess they missed it, but hey, you know, we're still up there.
Oh, absolutely. Now, the guy that you were talking about is chasing you, Randy Pope, who just got out of the 70 car, standing by with Biz. Biz?
Randy, here you are back in the pits. First of all, did you want to stop now? It's a bit early for you fuel-wise.
Well, the Mazda RX-7 from Speed Source was about due for a pit stop, and it was kind of coincidental. It was our teammate car having a problem out there, but I hope they can get that car fixed. I'm suffering a little guilt anxiety. I think it's my religious upbringing, although I thought I'd worn my brakes out. Guys said they looked perfect, and I was just getting a lot of pedal travel in the brake pedal of the car, so I started braking real lightly, and Andy was getting away in the lead. So we're pretty happy. We think we're sitting in good shape. Still Tremblay's in the car. I'm really glad to be in the Speed Source RX-7 once again, and we're looking forward to the race.
Well, Andy was saying that he could take you just about anywhere on the infield, but you could catch him up down these long straightaways. How did you feel about that?
I think the BMW hits an aerodynamic wall at about 120, and plus I was in his draft, and I could really catch him on top end with the RX-7. In the infield, he's out braking me something fierce. We just can't brake that hard. So we'll have to see if his brakes can last at that pace. It's going to be interesting.
Very interesting. Watch the BMW brakes, guys.
Well, after the pit stop, the Mazda leads by some 7 point. Well, it's showing 7.3, but obviously we're under yellow, so they'll all be bunched up behind that pace car. But when we go back to racing, it will be the Mazda out in front of the BMW. Well, as you take a look at the flag stand, they were given the 1 lap indication the last time by, and right now they're over in the infield section behind that silver Camaro pace car. There are 5 lap cars now between first and second. Tremblay in the Mazda, the Speed Source number 70 now out in front. Once again, 5 cars separating his position and the 54 car of Terry Porcheller. Greg?
Just an update. I was listening to Biz talk to Randy, and Randy mentioned that he wasn't sure about the brakes in the BMW. Randy's driven them. He might know. So I ran over to Andy Pilgrim, and I said, how's the car feel? And he said, great. The only problem we're experiencing is a little shudder from the right front under braking. And I looked at him, and I said, rotor? And he went, I don't know. Something isn't quite right with that BMW, and if it's a shudder, a warped rotor can often be the cause. Could be tire balances as well, and that may have solved itself with a tire change. Something to watch.
Well, I talked to the 2 drivers seated next to me. Aside from going into turn 1, the chicane area, and turn 5, where else is this track tough on brakes?
What is it? Turn 3 over here is probably one of the hardest spots where you see that RX-7 completely overcook it a few times. You go in there and it's so wide and so open, and you don't see any walls ahead of you that you keep trying to overdo the brakes, and that's where I constantly always have a problem myself.
Well, and I hate to hear that when he steps on the pedal, he feels a shudder. Usually that's not a tire or a wheel problem. Usually that's usually a rotor problem.
Well, we're about to go racing again after the first yellow of the afternoon. And that gave the leaders a chance to come in and make their stop. We have a new leader on that pit stop, Sylvain Tremblay. The winners at Sebring are out in front again.
But look further back, and Terry Porcheller is going to have to start dealing with some of this traffic right off the bat. And look at that BMW come out of the pits there, ends up going down a lap. The 28 car, that pit out is pretty interesting. There's Porcheller in the 54 car.
And this is not where you want to catch traffic right here. Anytime you've got into a slow section, fortunately he gets on the backstretch if he can make some progress here. But once he turns into turn 5 and gets to the infield section, it's going to be tough to get through those guys.
Exactly. You're stuck from here to the center straightaway, and then kind of your best bet is that you'll get 1 car, and all the while Sylvain Tremblay, you can see here, pulling a nice little lead.
Yeah, Tremblay is out there all by himself. Now those guys do get by the Toyota Supra there, and Terry should be able to get by the 328 BMW. Look at that little Acura, which handles very well, pounding Porcheller there through turn 9. So Porcheller goes by the 328 BMW. Just a tap on the brakes here and down a gear. Very quick right-hander. Now this Audi in front, A4 Audi.
And when you see how close it is in the corners, that record of 108 finishes in a row becomes even more phenomenal, because just the slightest mistake on anybody's part and that car's out of the race.
Yeah, it's amazing how close the racing is, but these cars are really strong. I mean, you can push and shove on these bumpers and these fenders, and as long as you don't push your fender into a tire, they'll take a lot of abuse.
Well, right now, 6 seconds separating first and second.
So there are now no cars in between the leaders, but essentially that pit stop error by Borcheller's team has cost them the lead and a 6-second gap. Well, really about an 8-second gap because they had a 2 or 3 second lead before the yellow. So it's been very costly for this team as Tremblay gets a little bit of a slide going there in the RX-7. And here comes Borcheller down to turn 5.
Just under 90 minutes remaining. But, you know, in a NASCAR race, the teams spend the first half of the race just getting to the second half. And realistically, we're talking about the same type of strategy here.
Yeah, I mean, they got a long ways to go yet. But I think, you know, Terry, he doesn't want to be behind by much. He wants to catch Sylvain and run right with him or pass him. He doesn't want to give up the lead, so he's going to run as hard as he can to get him.
Well, I think what Randy said was quite interesting because his crew had a look at the brakes on the RX-7 and said, well, you know, the brake pad wear is fine. Everything looks okay, but the pedal is long. And when the pedal is long, it's hard to have a lot of confidence in the car. Even though you know the brakes might be okay, it's hard to have confidence in those braking zones. And that's going to be a big difference here in this battle.
We show you the gap back to second position now, showing just over 6 seconds between the Mazda and the BMW. There is second place. See if he gets up on the banking. Oh, right there at that transition point. Into turn 1 through that little chicane. So once again, the Mazda continues to enjoy about a 6-second lead. Now it's clear sailing for that BMW to close in on the Mazda. So with less than 90 minutes to go, we are live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway with the second race, the 1998 season for the Speedvision Cup. Welcome back to Las Vegas for our timed event, the Speedvision Cup, live on Speedvision, part of a 6-hour live programming slot from today and tomorrow for sports car racing here at Las Vegas.
And we've got a good replay here coming out of that yellow. You can see the 28 car, the green BMW there. Look at this. Here's the leader, Tremblay, coming in. Look at that BMW in the top of your screen and watch the merging speed here because the BMW doesn't have to go through the chicane and he just flies out into that traffic. But they did end up going down a lap, so that pit stop may have hurt them a little bit. They were leading before the stop and they're back in second now.
Car number 28. BMW leading in the sports class. Won at Sebring, as we indicated earlier in his first Speedvision start. That is Michael Culver. There is a pit limit as far as the speed in the pit lane as you take a look there at the Culver position. And his progress through the field now on lap 44. Let's go back to the pit lane. John Visignano.
Well, as far as car 28 was in the pits, he didn't want to be here at all. The team totally screwed it up. He came rushing in, missed his pit, had to go around again, lost that lap, came in again the second time, stopped in the correct pit, and then they had to change right side tires. Now, talking to the team yesterday, they said they were going to go the whole distance with the tires. It was some 66 seconds while that car was in the pit. They tried everything to get out before the green dropped, and as you saw it on the tape, they just missed out. But everyone has gotten themselves back together, and again, we have a little bit less than 90 minutes to go, and they're going to try and get the second half perfect.
Bill Auberlen joins us here in the broadcast booth. And Bill, what's that do to the driver's psyche when the pit crew messes up? I mean, how do you get your focus back, get back on the racetrack, and back in the saddle?
Well, maybe in some other forms of racing, that'd be fine. You've seen it before where a guy grits his teeth, like you said earlier, and he can make it up. You know, a Zanardi, you know, he falls back in Long Beach, makes it up and wins the race. Here, it is so competitive and so close that you're going to be chipping tenths of seconds away. And if you're a lap down, that's going to be so tough to do unless you catch some really nice yellows and get the lap back.
Well, we're looking at second place in the touring class, the 07 car of John Norris and Craig Stanton. So, another problem on the racetrack. The hood is up on the 82 car. We'll take this break and check out the problem and come back to Las Vegas. Well, don't be confused by what you see as we come back live. You see some position swapping. The yellow flag had just been displayed, and that really comes at a bad time because we were anticipating a great battle up in front because the lead had been chopped down to just over 2 seconds. This is the reason why the 82 Honda of the Jason Potter, David Alheim entry. We saw that car with the hood up just before our commercial break, and that is the reason for the full course yellow, our second of the afternoon. And this gives a chance for some of the touring and the compact cars to make a pit stop. There is the 88 car that is 5th overall, and he is making a pit stop, and Greg Kramer is down there.
Gentlemen, this is exactly what this team needed. Remember, they had the cut tire earlier. They did the right side tires during that stop and topped off. They were going to need to make another stop anyway. Under yellow, they get a gift. They can put on fresh left side tires here without costing themselves much because it's going to take longer to fuel. Driver change is done. Van Cleef, arguably the quicker of the two drivers now in the car, they're going to top off. They might be able to get to the finish with just this stop. They're going to have fresher tires than anybody else, at least in class. This is exactly what the number 88 Redline Oil Toyota needed.
Well, the reason was for a toe-in on that 82 Honda. And so as we indicated, just before the yellow was displayed, that gap, Jeremy Dale, was down to 2 seconds between first and second, and we had been anticipating a good shootout up front.
Yeah, it was closing down at about 1.3, 1.4 seconds per lap. As you can see here, not a lot of activity on pit lane because we just came off a full course yellow, but here's our number 6 car in compact, had been running second before the full course yellow, and we've talked about this car. Now this will probably be, I'm quite certain it'll be the one and only pit stop for this team, so they're able to do that under full course yellow, and that's just what these guys need.
Steve Nowicki going in the car. I'm curious, guys, as to why three drivers would be assigned to this car this afternoon for probably one pit stop.
Yeah, that's a tough deal. How are you going to separate that, you know?
Got a riding mechanic?
Well, sometimes, you know, you put multiple names on the driver entry just to cover yourself on points, but obviously with just one driver change and 3 drivers, only 2 guys are driving.
So a couple of the cars are using this yellow opportunity to make their perhaps only pit stop. So under yellow, once again, we're showing that BMW out in front with the number 70 Mazda in second position. We'll come back for the restart. You have not missed a thing. The overall leader being shown as the 70 Mazda behind that silver convertible. As the pace car stays on the racetrack, we should have a green the next time by. I think, Jeremy, they were given the signal 1 lap to go the last time by.
Yeah, lights are off on the pace car, which means it'll be green next time by. We've seen a lot of the compact cars in the pits, topping up their fuel, making their one and only stop, a festival of Civic Del Sols and Mazda Miatas. And this is an impressive run today for this car, the 40 car, right now shown in 6th overall on the lead lap, with the big Grand Sports cars running ahead of the 2 leaders in the sports class. So a very impressive run today.
On touring, of course, the biggest class here with 15 entries this afternoon. 9 in GS, 4 in the S or the sports class, and 7 in compact. So we anticipate the restart. Once again, a timed event, 2 hours and 45 minutes, being brought to you live. The second race of the season for this Speedvision Cup. These are the stock sports cars, and of course tomorrow we'll be live for a combination of 3 hours for the World Sports Cars and the GTS 1, 2, and 3 series. Bill Auberlen joins us here in the broadcast booth, and we'll see him in action. You told us in both GT2 and 3, so you have your work cut out for you, young man, tomorrow.
That's it. I'm surprised they didn't put me into this race. That would have been fun.
You get to bed early this evening, get lots of rest. No running up and down the strip tonight.
I tell you, I've been doing good.
All right, here they are off the corner of the pace car in. We are racing once again. Now the question is, if Borcheller gets up there, will he allow the Mazda to set the pace, or will he take the lead?
Well, I got to say, Tremblay really got off to a quick start on that restart, and I think he left Borcheller kind of, you know, sleeping. I mean, he caught Borcheller just a little bit of sleep there, so Tremblay laying some strips of rubber there coming out of the chicane. But I think his days are numbered here. I think the Borcheller, who was really cranking down on him before we went full course yellow, it won't be long before he's out in front.
Did you watch the brake lights just now flash on that? I wonder if that's part of that long pedal. Let's pump them once before the turns.
Well, that's what you do when you got the long pedal. You want to drive that into the corner and just give him a little hit there, make sure you've got something.
Right. And like you said, his days might be numbered here. The BMW seems to be totally hooked up whenever I look at it in the turns, and the RX-7 seems to be faster on the straights, and that only lasts for a little while.
And that was a great shot of Tremblay laying rubber there, leaving the chicane on that restart. So he's pedaling that car as hard as he can, but Borcheller was catching him at roughly a second to a second and a half lap. Look at Tremblay wide of that apex, in too hot, makes a bit of a mistake, overdrives the car into the corner.
We were talking a little bit right here about dead acquisition. On my car, when I come through this turn, if I stay low, like he went high there, I'll gain 6 miles an hour, 4 to 6, if I go higher and let it free up.
Wow. Let's go down to Greg Kramer.
Yeah, just an update. Remember earlier, Terry Borchler was saying their initial plan, they didn't think they'd lead. They wanted to draft somebody to help their fuel economy. When Andy got into the lead, he decided to try and control it from the front. So what I'm thinking is they may catch Tremblay. Even so, he may decide just to follow him, see that if he can use the Mazda to pull him around a little bit, help his fuel out. A little strategy at work here, perhaps.
Well, the 54 car qualified for the pole yesterday, or actually this morning they qualified. Andy Pilgrim at 1 minute and 29.6 seconds, or an average speed of 86.3 miles per hour. The Tremblay car, number 70, was second quick with an average speed of 85.6 miles per hour. So again, if that is a indication or a benchmark, it looks like that BMW would be quicker, so it might be advantageous just to stay right there and draft.
Well, let's not forget, right behind these guys, look at this. We've got two cars right behind these guys. We've got a Toyota Supra, which is sitting 2 seconds back, and we've got another BMW, which is sitting 3 seconds back. So the race up front is very good. Now, we don't expect these other cars to challenge for the lead, but if anyone makes a bit of a misstep, if the two leaders get together passing each other, these guys are there and they're ready to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, that BMW there, that's the team car to the Terry Borcheller Andy Pilgrim car, and that's the one that Chris Miller started, and I was watching it, and he was hanging right in there for a while, and it looks like it's back in contention again.
And that fourth place car is the Chris Miller Lee Ezel entry, number 63. The third place car, Jeff Altenberg, sharing that ride with Peter Tonelli. So a great race underway, and we are live at Las Vegas. One car length now separating first and second, as we're being told that there is an indication we have some rain along the front tri-oval area. There had been a threat of some showers in the area this afternoon, so that could play into the race results. We're also being told the car number 40 in the touring class, Peter Schwartzoff, has been black flagged for passing under yellow.
And he's in the pits right now as we speak. We're following this good race at the front for obvious reasons, but the 40 car is, as we speak, making a stop and go. But look at this. Now let's talk about, let's kind of go back to what Greg was saying earlier about the 54 car possibly wanting to just do some drafting. That strategy may have to change here with the Toyota that's coming up behind these two. That'll force Terry Borcheller into a different game plan. He's not just going to be able to sit there because he's got that Toyota right behind him.
It's Altenberg in number 7. And the Miller Ezel BMW 63. And John Bizignano, put your weather forecasting cap on and tell us what's happening out there.
Well, looking a little bit to the south, I can definitely see the rain and where it's coming from. We're still getting a really strong southerly wind, and there is a bit of a cloud burst just south of the track. To the east and to the west, we have some blue sky, but talking to the officials, Dick Martin, I asked him, I said, Dick, if it starts a downpour, will you throw the red flag? Will you throw a caution to help everyone out and bring the cars in safely so everyone can change to a deeper groove tire, more of a rain tire? He said, nope, it's down to the team's discretion. Weather is an act of God in racing when it comes to our rule book.
Well, of course, they did throw the red at Sebring, so if there's heavy rain and ponding, look at this, a battle for second position.
Yeah, well, Borcheller gets held up there through the carousel, and look at this. Whoa, whoa.
Almost contact now between first and second.
Well, the 7 car gets in so deep that he almost hits the Mazda trying to outbrake the BMW. So big action there, and once again, traffic is a factor there. So now Borcheller's going to have to pedal even harder. And his problem is he doesn't have the horsepower to get by these guys on the straightaway. And that's what Andy Pilgrim got done early on. He took the lead from the outset of the race and was able to stretch out. And by making that mistake on the pit stop and not getting in under that yellow, now they've given up the lead. Watch this Toyota almost comes up and punches the Mazda. He's in so late on the brakes and just barely misses Tremblay.
Oh, now earlier, we heard the guys say they were surprised they got the pole yesterday, but weather played to their advantage. The BMW is not turbocharged. Today it's a very cool day, so it's playing into the hands of the turbocharged cars. And it's going to be more difficult for Terry to actually win this thing.
Well, I think that was the key to Andy Pilgrim's first stint, was getting the lead out of the blocks, which forced these guys into following because there was no way to get around Andy once they got into the infield. And now the tables have been turned. These guys are leading. Borcheller's all over them in the braking zones and in the infield, but look at them leg it out on the straightaway.
You know, I have to wonder, we know that these turbo
Look at
cars...
this, look at this.
Look at this for the lead.
That's a move for the lead. So the 7 car goes up into the lead, puts Tremblay back.
That's exactly
And
the same
Tremblay's
spot he
coming
made
back
that
at him.
pass.
He's coming back at him, side by side through the kink. This is going to work for Borcheller.
Here
Look
comes
at this.
Terry. 3 wide, maybe? Almost contact right there.
And Borcheller moves up into second. So Borcheller ends up taking second place. Tremblay's playing hardball there, not wanting to give up the position, and he ends up losing 2.
The best racing we have seen all afternoon right now as we scramble for position. A new leader, and now Borcheller up to second, and the old leader back to third. The 7 car used some discipline and used that inside pass in turn 5. 2 laps back to back to go from third to first.
I got to tell you, whoever is driving that 7 car, I'm not exactly sure. He is absolutely driving the wheels off of this car.
Well, I think it's Altenberg now because Tonelli was scheduled to start the race.
I mean, doing some fantastic late braking moves in a fairly heavy car and making it stick and handle. I mean, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, that is a big, heavy car. There's no doubt about it. And it's got some horsepower, which really helps it. But look at the BMW in this area where he'll really catch the Toyota. And now if he can get a little bit of a draft, he can be close in that braking zone. But that's going to be tough. So these guys are now driving away from Tremblay. There's those brake lights again, Bill. So
On paper, guys.
Now the Toyota's having to defend a little bit. The Toyota's having to defend a little bit in the braking zone.
Guys, on paper, these turbo cars will have to make a splash. Can that BMW go, Bill, without stopping?
I tell you, it's not turbo. It doesn't make the power, but for some reason, we only got 5-6 more minutes than the other cars, even though it should have had more mileage. We never kind of understood that. So,
what kind of RPM were you guys using when you ran that M3? Are you at liberty to say?
Yeah, I think it's stock 72, 7400, something like that is about what I believe it was.
Right.
And it does scream, so the RPMs must be what consumed the fuel.
Good tight shot there of your leader, the 7 car of Tonelli and Altenberg. And they're enjoying about, what, a 2-car length advantage, maybe 3 right now over that BMW of Terry Borcheller. And back there in third position, the winner at Sebring, Sylvain Tremblay. So we have a long way to go, and we'll see if Mother Nature will cooperate. We're coming right back to Vegas. We welcome you back. Live coverage of the Toshiba Nevada Grand Prix with just over an hour to go right now in this live Speedvision Cup race. The time race, 2 hours and 45 minutes. There's the gap between first and second. Greg Creamer standing by with the owner of the BMW riding in second position.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, I'm with Dominic Massari. And Dominic, first of all, you're in the middle of a 3-car battle right now. We were speculating that Terry might elect to draft the 70 car for a little bit to help fuel number 7 in that Toyota. Did that change your strategy?
Not really. I think this is all about conserving brakes and tires and fuel. You know, we want to hope we can go to the end. And so we're telling Terry just to kind of keep a good close eye on everybody. If he gets a position or if they're holding him up, he's got to go by him. So that's the game plan.
Andy had mentioned in his stint there was a little shudder from the right front corner. That could be a warped rotor, could be tire balance. How is it?
Well, what's happening on this track is that we're getting tire temps in excess of 200 degrees. And so sometimes you get tire shredding that comes off and sticks to one part. It was a balance problem. The car's fine now. No shudder, no problem.
All right, are you good to the finish in terms of fuel if we stay green?
If I tell you, I'd have to kill you, but I can say this. We're going to be close. It depends on the yellows.
I would guess they're praying for a yellow or two, guys.
Well, I think there are probably, 2 or 3 teams out there might be wanting the sky to open up for a short, brief yellow, or somebody spin off the racetrack. Or...
Well, when someone says, we'll see, it depends on the yellows, that means there's
we
no
need
way.
a yellow.
I love it. He sounds so confident when you talk to him, and yet they're running in second place, and that Toyota looks really strong to me. I know Dominic, and he's a real I want to win kind of guy, so I bet they're going to do whatever it takes here to try to win this one.
Well, once again, we do have 4 classes racing in this one overall event. Right now in the touring class, there's the 43 car. That is the Nonamaker paint entry. The Mazda. It's the Planet Earth special. Leading in class, about to be gobbled up by a faster GS car. That's Herzog going by, but once again, we're talking about 2 different classes there. But still, as a race driver, Bill Oberlin, even though you know you're in a different class, it's still disconcerting to get passed by somebody in a faster class.
Well, I mean, you want to just go as fast as you can. Actually, to tell you the truth, when they go by, you just sort of justify it. They're in a different class. Let them go. But you don't want these guys to take a tenth or 2 tenths away from your lap time because they're taking up your lines.
Likely have somebody right behind you on your heels in your class.
That's the problem. You are doing a battle, and this guy gets in the middle and sort of disrupts your day. But, you know, eventually somebody else will disrupt the other guy's day. So,
you know, I have to ask you, you talked earlier as we continue to watch this leader in the touring class, you talked about your race tomorrow. You're going to be in 2 classes. You're going to start one class, then move to a different class. Do you have to tell yourself, I'm in a different car, I'm in a different class? Is that a problem? Is it difficult to make that transition?
No, it's not hard to make the transition, but what I do have to do is I have to tell myself, hey, we have to finish GT3 at all costs for the points championship, and GT2 is whatever it takes to win. That's what we're going to do, which is drive the car as hard as you can. It's sort of a win or don't finish type of thing is what BMW is kind of telling me to do. You know, they want to have an all-out.
So you're going to start in 2 and finish in 3?
Yeah, no, just the opposite.
I
have to start in 3 because the first car you sit in is the only car you get points in.
Okay.
And they were kind of telling me maybe I'll qualify the 3 car and the 2 car to try to get 2 poles here in the same weekend, which is kind of strange. I'd have to give up my pole in GT2, and Andy Pilgrim might start from the back, but we'll still have to figure that out.
And as we talk about what's going to happen strategy-wise tomorrow in the BMW camp, we watch a BMW riding in 2nd position, a car length or 2 back. Right now on the scoreboard, we're showing him about, last time by it was 4/10 of a second. Obviously, it's closed down to less than a car length right now.
Jeremy, what do you think? He looks like he's in pretty good control right now. You know, the Toyota might have started to burn a little bit of its tires off in the turns, and he looks like he's handling it pretty well.
Yeah, I think he's in reasonable shape. I think he'd much rather be in front at this stage because when you watch them here as they come out, you know, onto the big horsepower part of the racetrack, the Toyota definitely legs it out, and it's really hard to make up that advantage. And as you know, you can do it, but sometimes you've got to drive the car harder than you want to do it to get by that slower car, and then sometimes you really end up making a mistake, or whatever happens, you'd certainly rather be in front. I'm sure those guys are really kicking themselves for messing up on that full course caution.
The early one. That's the problem. And a guy like Andy Pilgrim, maybe even Terry Borchell, he's a pretty good shoe. When he's in a situation where he has to make up always this 10 car lengths on a straightaway, you just don't want to get in the situation of overdriving and falling farther and farther behind.
Yeah, exactly.
And once again, on a racetrack like this, we've emphasized this before, but still, well, let's go down the pit lane and check in with John Visignano about pit strategy with that number 70 car.
Well, there's a lot of conversation going on down here in the 70 pit. Stan Worth is at the head of that conversation as the team manager. Stan, you came out of the pit stops, your car was leading, it looked like he was pulling away, and all of a sudden, he's moving backwards. What's wrong?
This is a real tough track on brakes, and even when Randy was in the car, we knew the pedal was getting a little soft. Sylvain's having to pump up the brakes going into some of the turns. BMW knows that, and they can definitely outbrake us. Time to sit back for a little bit and see how we do for the rest of the race.
Well, you got an hour to go. You've got to make another pit stop. It's just not the time to try and put it back together again. But you don't want those guys to get too far ahead. And you would like to build up a little bit of a cushion even ahead of them for that pit stop in case they don't have to make one. All this is going through your head. What's the true story?
Our true story is we're going to have to make a time fuel stop. We know the BMW has to stop again also. We'll look at the brake fluid and see if we can make, possibly do some improvements there. But the main thing is we're going for the championship. Sometimes you can't win every race and win the championship, and we may have to take third today.
Well, third right now would be a good spot for this team, but of course, the drivers always want to win. Jeremy, what's it like out there when that brake pedal just gets longer and longer and longer, especially when you have to come down from, like, say, 130 miles an hour?
That's what Bill and I were talking about earlier, where, it's very hard to have the confidence in the car when the pedal is long. Even if the crew tells you you've got all the pads you need and you've got all the rotor you need, it's very hard to have the confidence.
There's third place in traffic, and third place now 7.2 seconds behind your overall leader. Your overall leader continues to be the number 7 Toyota Supra.